And this video is gonna be about what if Deku was a demon. So basically, Deku is gonna be a demon, and oh yeah, and if I hear a lot of clicking, I'm on my Switch. That's why you're gonna hear a lot of clicking. Or if I stop talking for a little bit or pause the video, just know that I'm doing something like eating or there's someone coming to my room and being loud. So yeah. So basically, it starts off with the Demon King. He's dying very slowly, and he's trying to find out how he can. He was at first trying to find out how he could stop himself from dying, but this is when one of his demons saying, "Oh, you should have like an heir to your throne." This is when the Demon King's like, "That's a good idea. I'm going to do that." So this is when like Satan. Oh yeah, just to let y'all know, there's basically four realms. There's four realms: the human realm, the demon realm, and the underworld, which is below the demon realm. So yeah. So the one who owns the demon realm is Satan. She owns the demon realm, and yes, Satan is a girl in this. So yeah. So Satan is talking with her daughter about, oh, what should we do now? Like, I basically got, like, Satan is bored. She's tired of torturing people and all that stuff. Like, she's gotten bored of it. It's gotten kind of old to her. She's trying to find out something new to do. Oh yeah, and her and the Demon King, they don't really get along that much. Like, they hate each other. They don't talk at all. So yeah, and like, so now this is when you're wondering, so then how is Azuku going to be born? So Azuku is going to be, hold on you guys. So Azuku is going to be Satan's son basically. That's going to be her son, Azuku Midoriya. And Saint Demon King, like, there's a difference between the Demon King and Satan. For her, she can possess people, and that's it. She can't go to the overworld, and that's it. But for the Demon King, he can go to the overworld. But when he goes to the overworld, he has to basically, he has to, when he goes to the overworld, he has to basically follow one rule. And he can't terrorize none of the humans. He can't do that. That for him, that's basically illegal. Basically, he can't do that. He's not allowed to. So this is when, like saying she's in on the Demon King's conversation, and she says, well, since he's dying and will no longer live, how about I trick him into thinking I'm a human, and I would trick him thinking I'm a human, and once he falls for it, when she falls for it and finds out I'm pregnant and having his baby, I will be able to rule over not just the underworld, but also I won't be able to just find out. I won't also be able to rule over the overworld, but also like the demon realm, basically. Like, she will be able to rule over the demon realm and also the underworld. So yeah. And people think this is a good idea, like, for Satan. Like they really think this is a good idea, because this means that for the people who are kind of homeless in her realm, they will no longer have to be homeless. They will no longer have to be homeless because, yeah, they'll have a home to live in. Oh yeah, Oh yeah, and saying she has no emotions. She doesn't feel anything towards anyone other than but herself. Nor does she feel anything to her own daughter, which is kind of sad. But yeah, what can you expect from a demon? So Deku, so so this is when she hears that Demon King has picked someone that he would like to mate with while he's in the overworld, and this is the person that she's going to possess. And so that so that the Demon King won't know that Inko is being possessed. He the Satan does well something like a spell to make sure that he doesn't know that this human is being possessed by her, because he can kind of tell when someone's being possessed by a demon. So basically, she says, well, so she then says, if I'm going to have another child, well, I at least want this child to be strong, at least. That's what Satan basically says. And Satan is, Satan really doesn't, or that much like other people, other than herself. She doesn't care, but when Deku is born, that's when she just starts caring for some reason. Like, for some reason, even though this human child is basically hers, is basically hers, well, isn't hers and also hers at the same time. She normally isn't supposed to care about this stuff, but she does. So she wonders why this particular human I care about, like why him? Why out of all the humans is he the one I care about the most? Or well, half human, half demon baby, something like that, I don't know. So she then tells the Demon King, how about, well, the Demon King didn't know, but until the last minute, like, Inko was pregnant, and the Demon King didn't know about that, but what he didn't know was that it was Satan who was pregnant with his child. So this is when she tells Satan, this is when Satan tells the Demon King, like, her whole plan and all that stuff, and like how she tricked him. And the only thing the Demon King can say is that you tricked me. And she's like, yeah, I know, right? It was pretty smart, huh? This is when the Demon King says, fair play, farewell then. This is when the Demon King's last words was, take care of my son, you demon. That's what the Demon King's last words were. And since I'll say like the Demon Queen kind of took his words seriously, but she didn't really care what happened to Izuku until he was actually born. So when Izuku was born, that's when she actually started caring about him. At first, like, she wondered why this particular human I care about. He is nothing but a human. For me, I shouldn't care what happens to him or anyone else. So, oh yeah, and Inko can still be in control of her own body. Like, her and Satan did make a deal. Like, they made a deal. Like, sometimes she would take over the body. Sometimes like Satan would take over the body because Satan was smart. She was like, if I want this plan to fully work, I would need the person who owns this body to also to take control sometimes. So they like kind of made a deal. So yeah. And this is when Deku is with Deku's born, and this is when like Satan and Inko think like Deku's beautiful. Oh yeah, and also Satan has another idea. She's like, if her thoughts about this is, if I like, since this is also going to be my child and stuff, like, I might as well take advantage of this. And by taking advantage of this, she means she tells her daughter that, oh, she tells your daughter that you're going to have a little brother. She's like, okay, so that means that means to make sure that our bloodline goes on, you and him are going to have to get together. And she's like, what? Why? No, ew. And she's like, well, it's to keep the royal bloodline from going to some random demon or human. Like, she doesn't want it to be more than, like, Satan is smart. If it's more than one person who's ruling over, like, let's say Deku had a baby with a human, and like Satan's daughter had a baby with a demon. Satan's baby would rule over the would rule over she would rule over the demon realm, and Deku would rule over the underworld, basically. And she's like, yeah, we can't have that happen. We have to have both worlds. So yeah. So she's like, so you get it now? And she's like, well, yeah, I guess I kind of get it. So she says, okay then. So now that we're on agreement, you're going to have to basically take Izuku with you, and well, she says, well, the plan is to kill you and to make sure you and him end up having a baby one day. And she says, how is that possibly going to work? She then says, it's going to work because once you die, I will reincarnate you. Like, you will be reincarnated, and once you get reincarnated, once you get reincarnated, I will then once you get reincarnated, it will you kind of will still be related, but then again, you won't. Oh yeah, and if you're wondering who Satan's daughter, like, dad is, it's the Demon King, because like they were in a relationship at one point, but like, you know, they got divorced, it ended there, so yeah. So people kind of are like, okay, so yeah, big deal, they got divorced and all that. It's a problem. So people are wondering what should they do, because if they go to Inko, like, people in the demon realm are wondering what should they do, because whatever they do will affect the demon realm. And this is the problem with, well, Izuku. So she's wondering, like, the problem with Izuku will have to kind of wait. Like, I'm sorry guys if you're not really getting this. I tried this. I just tried doing this. It failed. So yeah. So that's why. So that's basically Shane's plan. That's the plan she tells. That's the plan that she tells that Satan tells her daughter. So yeah. So Izuku is now born. And people are like, oh, he's a beautiful baby and all that. And they wish that they can have someone as cute as him. That's basically what they are saying. So yeah. So people think that Izuku is an angel when he's not. He's a demon, but since well, he's kind of. Oh my God, Izuku kind of isn't an angel. He's a demon, but yeah. But 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 if there's one thing Izuku enjoys, he enjoys terrorizing people, like making their life miserable. That's basically what Izuku likes to do. So people are like, people like think. So Deku is with Deku is now with Bakugo in his house. Deku is with Bakugo, and they're just talking. They're talking, you know, having a great time until Deku's quirk appears. Deku's quirk is curses. Like, his quirk allows him to do many things. But the main thing that Deku's quirk allows him to do is that you can't take his quirk. His quirk is his. You can't take it, no matter how hard you try. You just can't take his quirk. And if you do manage to take his quirk, once you have the power, you won't be able to hold like Deku. He will be able to hold. Sorry about that, guys. Deku will be able to hold his power, but if you take his power somehow, you won't be able to like hold it. The only thing you'll be doing is basically passing out because his quirk is that powerful. And because that's how powerful his quirk is. And people really don't want to mess with Deku at sometimes because like when he first told people what his quirk was, they thought his quirk was a villain quirk until they saw how useful it could be. Like, it can save people. He can curse someone to be forever saved, or like forever helped, or like whatever Deku puts them under a curse, it will help them forever until they die. Like that's how the quirk will be. And so once Bakugo doesn't believe Deku. He sees Deku as a kind of like a brother because like they both kind of have strong quirks in his opinion. So yeah. Now Deku is with his so now they're in middle school. You know, the class doesn't start yet, but there are already a bunch of girls surrounding Deku. Like they're just surrounding him, and Deku doesn't really care, but like Deku, he doesn't care for all this attention. He's like, all this attention, I'm used to it, I don't care. Like that's Deku basically. He doesn't care for anything unless it involves him. Unless it evolves around Deku, he doesn't care about it. Oh yeah, and Deku, to other people, Deku looks like this. He has horns. They think that's his mom said that's a mutation quirk that he gets from his father's side. And people think that makes Deku look 10 times hotter than he already does. So yeah. So people like surround Deku. They're always giving Deku attention and all that. Like they basically babying Deku sometimes. That's basically what they're doing. They're babying him, acting like he's a baby and he needs a lot of attention. When Deku is like basically when Deku is like a full adult, he doesn't or teenager. He doesn't really need attention. He can be perfectly fine on his own. So this is when Deku is with, he's with his like mom. He's with his mom. Well, no, he's not with his mom. He's in class right now. You know, teacher comes in, says class is in session. Sit down. Don't do anything. Everyone sits down immediately. And the kid and oh yeah, and the girls that were surrounding Deku, they went like some of them went back to their class, and some of those like girls also went back to like, and some of those girls they also like kind of went back to like, they also like went back to their class, and they also like went back to their seats, because some of the kids in Deku's class are like some of the girls are in Deku's class and some of the girls aren't. So yeah. Deku is now with Deku. Like this is when the teacher says, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" and all that stuff. This is when he says, "Oh, I know all y'all want to become heroes when I grow up." So yeah. And Deku, he's like, becoming a hero. I don't really care. This is when Deku's like, this is when like, this is when the teacher says there's two people going to UA, Katsuki Bakugo and Izuku Midoriya. Katsuki says what he usually says, and he says, well, only me and Deku are honestly really capable of being heroes. All of you might end up being some villains, drug dealer or whatever, you know, what he usually says in canon. And this is when he mentions Izuku Midoriya, and this is when this is when Bakugo shuts his mouth, because he knows that whatever he would try to do, what to Izuku would kind of like affect him like majorly. Like if you try and bully Izuku, you will be cursed. Like like he is able to control who he curses, but sometimes it will kind of take it too far, I guess you could say. I guess you can kind of say that. So yeah, that's why people don't really mess with Deku. Like they don't really want to be cursed by him, so they don't really mess with him that much. The only thing they do with Deku is talk to him, and that's it. Like people only talk to Deku. Anything other than talking to him, it's nothing. It's never anything other than talking to Deku. Like that's all they do. That's all they talk about is like that's the only thing they do. Talk with Deku. Like they don't bother Deku. They leave Deku alone. They basically don't do anything with other than hanging out with Deku or basically playing video games with him in the arcade. That's it. And people knows, and like Deku, he knows that people are scared of him. He knows that most, he knows that the guys in his class don't like him, but then again, they're also scared of him. Because they know that run one wrong move and Deku can curse them for all eternity without any problems. Which for them is kind of a problem. So that's why they don't bother Deku. They leave Deku alone. So this is when Deku is like. So this is when Deku's like. So this is when like. This is when like the teacher says. And then this is when the teacher says, Izuku, I didn't know you wanted to become a hero. He says, well, I'm still kind of thinking about becoming a hero. I don't really know yet. Well, he says, well, if you decide to become a hero or not, I'm supporting you all the way. But he knows that the teacher is just saying that so that way, like, he doesn't get on Deku's bad side. And, like, the teacher, he doesn't really care care what happens to like any of his students other than Deku. Anything happens to Deku or like him, anything happens to Deku, he knows that he's facing Deku's mom and Deku himself and court. So that's why he's not gonna. That's why he knows that. That's why he knows that if anything happens to Deku, that will then become a him problem, no one else's problem. So this is where, so this is when like, you know how I was talking about this girl over here, Satan's daughter. She will be reincarnated into Toga Hirumi, and Deku he always goes to like this one coffee shop that Toga works in. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna say Toga is in Deku's class. So yeah, Toga is in Deku's class, and they don't really talk much, but like, like Toga, she doesn't talk to Deku, but she knows that, she knows that she's supposed to like be with Deku, like that's her main objective. She's supposed to make sure Deku falls in love with her and no one else. Basically yandere, but more think of it as a mission and not like as a yandere sort of stuff. So Deku is with. So this is when Deku's having to talk with his mom, saying he wants to join UA, and his mom really cares about like Deku, like she cares about him a lot, and she knows that hero work is like kind of dangerous. So if he dies, then there's no chance of him ever ruling over the underworld, or if he gets hurt or anything. Like whatever happens to Deku will affect her kind of. So like people are really like always worried for Deku basically. No one really hurts Deku. That's why I'm gonna be making Deku a villain. So that's why I'm gonna be making Deku a villain and not a hero in this one. I don't know why, I just really like villains. So if y'all want me to make a hero version of this one, leave it down in the comments down below, and I try and do my best to make a hero version of this one. So yeah. Deku is now with his mom, and Deku is with his mom, and this time he honestly doesn't know what to do. Like he just had to talk with his mom about becoming a hero, and he knows that if anything happens to him, his mom will be really sad. And since how his mom cares about him like a lot, he doesn't really want anything to like happen to her or him. So he thinks is becoming a hero honestly worth it, like worth worrying his mom. Like is becoming a hero worth risking his life to save other people's life just so he can hurt his mom in the end. And Izuku, he really cares about his mom. He doesn't want to hurt her. He doesn't want to see her cry or anything. So this is when like Izuku, he tries like the hero exams and all that stuff. And he's like, well, this is kind of going good. It's kind of going good, but then again, it's kind of going terrible. Hold on, let me turn this down a little bit, guys. Okay, there we go. So Deku is now with now that Deku is with his mom, and well, Deku doesn't really know what to do. Since Deku doesn't know what to do, he's just with his mom, hanging out with her, basically, not knowing what to do. But he does know that he knows that if he makes the wrong choice, he's going to make his mom cry. And like his mom has cried before, like when their father left, you can say. When he left, when he left her to raise Izuku all by herself, that's when she broke down in tears. Because she felt like she lost someone important to her who was just, well, there to her. Like to her, she feels like, well, to her, she feels like the Demon King was kind of someone important, but not that important. Like, that's what she kind of feels for Deku. Like, but it's more Deku's very important than just important. He's the only way Satan is becoming queen, basically. And without Satan, she can't become queen. Basically, if without Deku, Satan can't become queen in the underworld. That's basically it. So she's like, I gotta think of what to do. Like, how can this problem be solved? How can I fix this? This is when she comes up with an idea of maybe I should just like change Deku's fate. Maybe whatever path he chooses to do, it'll be a better one than the path he's choosing to do now. Like, that's what basically Inko is thinking. And Satan, basically. If they don't choose the right path for Deku, then how will he live? How will his life be without his parent? Or his mom? So Inko is like worried, sick about Deku because like it will be her head. Like if anything happens to Deku, she'll die. Like that's basically it. Anything happens to Deku, she will die. And Inku doesn't really want to die yet. So yeah. But she does still feel a sort of connection to Deku, like a motherly connection. So that's why Inko is like, what should I do with Izuku? That's what she's basically telling Satan. If something happens to Izuku, what should I do? Like, if he decides to become a hero. Satan is like, I don't know. That's up to him if he decides to become a hero. Not up to us. Hold on, guys. Give me like 2 seconds. Okay, guys. I'm back. And this time, Izuku is in the UA exams practicing on what he's about to do. This is when he's practicing, thinking about his mom, like getting the 0 pointers and all that. And this is when like he starts training. He goes inside of UA. He immediately goes to the principal's office and says he doesn't want to become a hero. He wants to have a normal life. This is when, I forgot his name, but he says why. He says because if I do this, then I will be hurting my mom's feelings, and I really care about her. and she cares about me too. So I don't really want to do this if it ends up me hurting the one I care about. And Principal Nazu, yes, I remember his name, says, okay, if that's what you want, but remember you're always allowed to come back in UA. And he's like, thank you. And like Nazu, he's like, thank you. Like Nazu is like, no problem. Like Deku says, thank you. Nazu says, no problem. You're always allowed to come back to UA anytime. So, like, so Deku is now at his house with, and like before like his mom was like, before Inko was like was basically with any, before like Izuku left the house, she was basically cleaning the house. Like, that's what she was doing. Cleaning the house, making sure that nothing happens. While Izuku was like cleaning Izuku's room and everything, you know? Like, that's what she was doing. So Deku then says, so now that Deku is no longer a hero of UA, I mean a student of UA, and like, oh yeah, and if you're wondering about the Sludgeman attack, this man dodges it, like it doesn't technically happen to Izuku. And the attack between Bakugo and stuff, yeah, that kind of doesn't happen either, so yeah. But the fight between, so yeah, that's kind of Izuku's life. He, other than, since Deku isn't really a hero, he does save people, but it's small work. He doesn't, like, it's just small stuff. He doesn't really save people. He doesn't go out when like something is falling or a villain is attacking. This is when he's at his coffee place. He sees Toga, and you know what? Deku finally says, you know what? I think I like this girl. So he tells her, hey, I like you. Would you like to go out on a date sometime? And Toga says yes, because, well, you know, this is Toga we're talking about. She says yes, and now they're going out. But, so, and this is when, like, one of the customers, not customers, one of her co-workers hear this, and they're like, do you want us to keep the shop open long enough for your date? And Toga says yes, happily, because, like, yeah. And if y'all wondering what's gonna happen to, like, Izuku, since he doesn't become a hero in this and becomes a villain, people, like, I'll tell you guys in the next part, basically. So for now, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.